Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be watching another Arlo video, which has been a while since we've actually reacted to one of his videos, but we're going to be checking out Animal Well is as good as video games get, spoiler-free review, which he just put out this video today. I actually haven't even seen his last video talking about the Switch 2 stuff, talking about, how Nintendo officially confirmed it, but I figured it would be more interesting to watch this basically review from him, because from what I've heard, he really likes this game, but I haven't watched the video myself yet, and I am interested in it. Animal Well is made by Video Game Donkey, popular YouTuber, along with his company, so I am interested in the game. Don't know if I'll check it out. It is on PS Plus, so, I could always give it a shot, but yeah, I want to see what Arlo thinks, so yeah, let's just get right into it, shall we?
It's hard writing a review for a game that's really, really special because you struggle to convey just how special and how amazing it is. It's this very sensational thing. Every game reviewer who's played something special wants to be like, this is the best game ever. Here's why you should believe me.
I agree.
But man, I gotta say, I really do want to somehow convey that Animal Well, it's one of those special games. One of those once-in-a-blue-moon, truly deep-down, incredible experiences that reminds me all over again why I love video games. I know, it's a bold statement. It's a very sensational way.
Yeah, this video is probably going to make me want to play it more, to be honest, this game, which already looked interesting to me, but, let's just continue on.
To start, but bear with me. And I will say it's also hard in this case, because I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm going to try to avoid basically all specifics, and I'm also only going to be showing gameplay from the very beginning of the game. And if you want to go into the game super duper blind, like I heavily recommend, then just don't even watch this footage, just listen, because even this is going to give you some puzzle solutions for the first part. I really truly do recommend going in as blind as possible. I'm very glad that I watched a couple trailers early on, and then I just did not look further. So Animal Well is a Metroidvania, technically, but there is no combat to speak of. There is definitely danger, enemies in a sense, and there are ways to protect yourself against enemies, but you never get
just a
straight up
so
weapons.
very minimal.
You never fight. All the items you get are utility items. They help you get around, they help you solve puzzles. And this strikes me as particularly interesting because I like to come up with game ideas myself, and I frequently find myself dwelling on concepts, Metroidvanias in particular, that don't have combat. I just think the idea is really interesting. I want to see it explored in more games. It drastically changes the dynamic of the entire experience and your place in the world. So yeah, the items that you get. This is one reason I'm really glad I didn't watch a lot of pre-release footage, because the items are so delightful. They're usually simple, sometimes so simple. These things are basically toys. And yet there are all these clever ways they work with the environment. There are so many uses for them, and sometimes you will slowly discover these uses the more you play. And the game has no tutorials. Intuitively teaching the player, it's something that everyone loves. It's a mark of good game design. Everyone kind of strives for it when they can. But Animal Well takes it to a level I don't know if I've ever seen. It teaches so much. You learn so many different functions of your items and the environment, and it's all done 100% organically.
So
the game
no
wants you to figure things out
all?
yourself, and this leads to these intense...
You know how they say, Breath of the Wild, for example, they say they teach you without tutorials. That's mostly true, but they still have a little bit of stuff in there, even if it is very minimal. So, sounds like this game has, no tutorials at all, which is a very interesting concept, not gonna lie. Very intrigued by that premise alone, Sometimes I feel like tutorials are needed because... In particular, I'm very stupid, but that seems very interesting, at least for this game.
Satisfying moments where you've been using an item for hours and suddenly you discover a new use for it. And that's like gaining a new item all over again. It's like getting the item upgraded. And the game gives you these tools and tells you to explore. And this is one of those Metroidvanias that feels very open early on. There are so many different paths to choose from, so many rooms I had to remind myself to come back to to
the
later.
beginning.
I do believe that there's more or less a linear order you're going to complete things in, but there's this sense of freedom, this sense of choice that makes it feel like every move I make is my own. And of course, as you gain items, the world just opens up more and more, and it feels like you've just got so many options. It's exhilarating. And it's clear very early on that this is a world worth exploring. There's a sense of magic that sets in right away that makes you just so eager to plunge into unknown territory and find the next
I do like how, from the footage, I do like how when you enter like a secret area or whatever, secret passage, like that glows, but like the rest of the area like gets darker. Like I've seen something similar to that in other games, but it usually only that secret path glows. The rest of the area doesn't go darker. Like that's just a really cool detail. I don't know. I'm already guessing about this game a lot.
One, it's the design. This is one of the most cleverly designed games I have ever played, full stop. Oftentimes, a really well-designed game will also be very complex. You know, it'll have a lot of moving parts that work together perfectly. And this game does have a lot of complexities, lots of parts working together, but there's a certain simplicity here that I appreciate on an even deeper level. Being big and complex is great, but I feel like there's something particularly special about doing a lot using a little. And Animal Well deserves to become the textbook example of achieving such an overwhelming amount using simple tools and simple design. Much of the game, again, early game especially, you're navigating and solving these puzzles using super basic tools. Movement, jumping, the process of pressing buttons to open doors, and yet even there, I consistently found myself shaking my head in bewilderment, audibly gasping to myself. It's a degree of cleverness that has honestly floored me.
And
of course, as you get more items, the cleverness levels skyrocket off the charts. Every tool you've got, every way you can possibly interact with the world is utilized in some way. No idea is left unexplored. I feel like when it comes to Metroidvanias, lots of them nail combat, movement, level design, progression, all that really great stuff. But Metroid itself excels in the puzzle department. Metroid gives you all these little abilities, and instead of just using them for combat or progression, you use them in puzzles to gain items, often utilizing multiple abilities in tandem. Not a lot of other games hit that same level in my eyes. They very rarely pull that off, you know? But Animal Well absolutely does. Its puzzles are as good as puzzles in an actual Metroid game, and even better. And I think it's largely because there's no combat. It's all just you and your items, so it can focus almost entirely on that kind of puzzly, carefully crafted experience. Every room, every chunk of every room is its own little challenge to overcome. Then another reason the world is so particularly fun to explore is that it is dense with secrets. There is so much packed into this map. There are so many different items to get, so many collectibles, so many little secret pockets to find. You have to study the map very carefully because there are always clues, little tells that there's something to find. And following these tells and revealing little chunks you pass.
Which I pay attention to the visuals, but like with this game in particular, I'm just interested because it looks so unique. I'm just interested to see like how it looks, you know, at the same time as what Arlo was talking about.
By a dozen times because originally you thought they were nothing, it is a constantly rewarding experience. It's like the game has these layers and you just keep digging deeper and deeper. And no spoilers, but I'll just say that the actual map itself is very helpful. And this makes digging for these deeper secrets that much more enjoyable. If you see a little gap in a room and it looks like it might lead somewhere, it probably does. So the game trains you to have a razor sharp eye. Makes you feel like a little detective, you know? Which of course just makes you feel like a genius when you are consistently picking the teeniest of secrets out of this giant space. And the game is full of deeper, mysteries. You'll find items or interact with objects and have no idea what they do, and it's only much, much later that you realize what you've been doing. There are all these cryptic mysteries to solve, and I'm not normally patient enough to really immerse myself in these kinds of mysteries. I tend to only struggle so much before I get anxious about how much time I'm wasting, and I just look it up. But wow, Animal Well is
Relatable.
a different story. It certainly helps that I had the incredible privilege of playing the game before release. Massive, massive thanks to Big Mode for that, by the way. So there were absolutely no guides to follow online. But like even beyond that, this game and its secrets captivated me, and indeed have still been captivating me
art.
like no game I have played maybe since I was a teenager. I honestly don't think that a game has been so much fun to explore. I don't think a game has so genuinely enchanted me with its mysteries that I've wanted to run over it with a fine-toothed comb, wandering each of its rooms countless times in search of mysteries to solve since I was a teenager, with unlimited free time on my hands and only a handful of games to play. Animal Well has kind of reawakened a part of me that's been dormant for years. I can still get sucked into games and just dump countless hours on them, but this desire to dig as deep as possible, it's on another level. This is where I will admit, if there is one reason that someone might fault the game, it's that it's pretty easy to reach these points when you've just kind of run out of places to go. There's obviously something you need to find, but you're really not sure where to find it or what to do. Much of my playtime has been spent just kind of wandering around. And sure, sometimes this does come with a tinge of dismay. Wanting so badly to keep going, but constantly checking nooks and crannies and coming up
this sounds
empty.
like it could
or
be a little
successfully
problem,
finding secrets, but
especially
they're not
for
the
me,
secrets
because again,
you
I'm very
needed.
dumb.
If you're not down to be very patient, or of course look up a guide every once in a while, there is a chance you might find yourself a little frustrated. It's certainly the kind of thing that would normally put me off and essentially force me to look up a guide, and it is something that many people struggle with when it comes to Metroidvanias. Which is particularly funny because Donkey himself, who published the game, calls this a Metroid moment. But there is a lot that helps mitigate the frustration. While you're looking for a way forward, you'll often accidentally stumble across collectibles instead. And there's certainly a small element of disappointment when you see that instead of the progression item you needed, no, it's just another chest with another collectible. But it still feels great because it means that you did indeed successfully notice that there was a secret. And that realization is kind of its own reward. And then this is so much easier to take because the collectibles grant tangible rewards, so you always feel like you're working towards something. Nothing feels worthless. No discovery feels like a waste of time. Then the solutions to the actual big progression-related problems aren't usually too cryptic, as is the case with the kinds of Metroidvania moments Donkey talks about. There are always visual cues, even if they're very tiny and hard to spot. This means that sometimes it can take a good while to find them, but that just makes it all the more rewarding when you do. Like I said, you feel like a genius. When you finally figure something out, it never makes you roll your eyes and go, how was I supposed to figure that out? No, you just feel incredible. A lesser game couldn't get away with having so much so cleverly hidden from you, because then you would just get frustrated. But the quality and the pitch-perfect design makes me patient. It makes me more willing to comb over the pixels, which means that the payoff is often rapturous. I've been playing with a friend, and you would not believe the elation we feel when we solve one of these little mysteries. When we finally find some little thing that we've been needing for hours and hours, and we can finally go into this room that's been taunting us. It's genuinely thrilling, and that's the kind of experience people talk about having with older games, you know, like the original Metroid, back when there were no internet guides, and you just had to take notes and figure it all out yourself. If you let it, and you give it your time and patience, Animal Well becomes that kind of experience.
Original Metroid is just the fact that this has a map, unlike the original one, which is basically, all the rooms look very similar to each other, and yeah, and there's no map, so you don't know where you're going. At least this has a map to an extent, so I think it'll be easier to understand than the original Metroid or the Game Boy one, you know?
that has kind of been lost in the modern age of games. Engaging with this world comes with a deep down level of satisfaction that so few games can give. And yet another reason the game is so satisfying to play is the presentation. Let's finally talk about that. Animal Well is a soul-achingly gorgeous game. It utilizes a mix of pixel art with what is probably 3D animation converted to pixels, along with an active lighting system that gives the world this incredible depth. The backgrounds in particular are gorgeous, they're surreal, they're often terrifying. And speaking of terrifying, the game's atmosphere is so thick you could cut it with a knife. It's enchanting and mysterious. It's colorful. You play as this cute little blob guy. But then there are places and sequences that are genuinely scary. The world is populated by animals, and you never know which ones are friendly and which are not friendly. And this play between serenity and terror, it's the kind of tension that I live for in games. And of course, being this beautiful and this creative and interesting, it makes traversing the world a constant delight. It's a world I could spend any amount of time in, even if I'm feeling lost and kind of sad that it's been a while since I've found anything. Ultimately, I am still enjoying myself. I'm still just so happy to be playing the game. And I know that that dopamine hit when I do find something will be more than enough reward. Even after combing through the game for hours and hours, I still haven't found everything. I've beaten the game in the traditional sense, but there are still big chunks of the map I haven't uncovered. Even as I record this, I am burning to get back to it, and my friend is in the other room hunting for little spots on the map that could potentially lead somewhere. I'm not kidding.
Like, I believe I saw something about how the gameplay, like, it takes 6 hours to beat, but there's like 20 hours left of like post-game stuff, which is insane to me. That's like something I never seen before, how a main game is like short, but like a bunch of stuff after the fact. Like I mean, I'm sure I've seen something similar, but nothing to like this extent, you know? At least for this type of game, which is crazy.
And I'm becoming progressively more certain that some of these mysteries we will not solve. I think people are gonna have to like band together on the internet to figure some of this stuff out, because there are all these little clues everywhere that really look like something, but we just don't know what they mean yet. It's phenomenal, and I cannot wait to see how deep this well goes. Before we wrap this up, we might as well talk about potential flaws. There really aren't many flaws that I can perceive, at least. Like I said, you might get stuck. Probably a lot if you're going for 100% completion without using a guide. I can also imagine that the game might be difficult to play for those who are vision impaired. The game thrives on its ability to hide teeny tiny little secrets just out of sight, which might be a problem for some people. There are also times when it's a little hard to see what are background elements and what are not. You know, the visuals can sometimes kind of blend together. Then the only other real problem I've got with it is that it's a little bit annoying to cycle between items, and this only gets worse the more items you get. I'd love a wheel or hotkeys or something to make it quicker to grab exactly what I need. But that's basically it. Otherwise, the game is simply wonderful in every way, and it goes without saying that this is an even greater feat when you consider that it was created almost entirely by one single guy. Which is baffling. Once more, I will say that it's hard to convey how deeply in love with Animal Well I have fallen, and what it means to me now. I've never made a game, but I would love to someday, and I spend a lot of time coming up with concepts and doing preliminary design. And if I could ever make a game like Animal Well, even if it was the only game I ever made, I would feel like I had created a piece of art that was everything as good as I could ever want it to be. It ticks so many of my own personal boxes that it feels like it was made just for me, or by me in an alternate universe where I learned how to code and was a lot smarter. It's just about everything I could want in a game like this. It's equal parts serene and beautiful and eerie and terrifying. It's filled with secrets and mysteries and surprising moments. It's been designed with such care and skill that the word clever that I've been using, it hardly does it justice. It's an experience that feels rich and epic and grand and deeply satisfying, yet it's built upon a foundation of elegant simplicity. It's always good to give these things some time before
look at that
shuffling any
bird.
top 10 lists around, but at this moment, Animal Well feels like one of the best games I've ever played. Or at least it's certainly one of my new favorites. And I'll leave it at that. Thanks again to Big Mode for providing me with a copy of the game. Congrats to Donkey on publishing your first game. You really showed you know how to pick 'em, man. And Billy Basso, all I can say is, you done good. Genuinely, thank you for this. See y'all later.
Well, yeah, that was a good video. It got me interested in checking out the game. Don't know if I will, because there's just so many games I have to play, continue playing, all that stuff. But it does get me interested, Now, before we go, and let's not do that, let's check out the comments, how we... honestly, this game is kind of like Halo 2 and Halo 3 combined. I'm pretty sure that's a reference to Video Game Donkey. I don't watch a lot of his stuff. I used to watch some of it, specifically the dedicated Nintendo stuff, but, not anymore. So, Halo 5, hey, May 9th, that's when Animal Well comes out. Anyway, Arlo got the free loaf of wonder bread. I hope he's thinking of deforestation when he gets that. I don't know. Big publisher. We have to spend $1 million in marketing, and then Donkey promo videos like Halo 2 meets Halo 3. You may be resisting arrest, but I can't resist wishlisting Animal Well on Steam. Billy Basso worked so hard to make something truly just when he nailed it. This is a masterpiece. Congrats to him and shout out to Dog for publishing and promoting the game. Tell the devs this review code has at least generated 1 sale. I'm excited. Make 2, make 3, make 4, make none because it's on PS Plus. I feel genuinely guilty playing this for free, so I'm buying, would you say, 11th? So happy for this guy who spent 7 years on this. This must be one of his greatest days of his life. Wait, what? The game took 7 years? Yeah. 7 years of 80-hour work weeks, and it was 100% worth it. My body is ready to go big mode. Arlo and Donkey communities. It's like Halo 2 meets Halo 3. This game will make a Donkillion Dorios. This sounds a lot like the way tuning made me feel, and no game has ever reached into every corner of my brain like that. I'm sold. Jesus Christ. I don't know how to read. Animal Well for Game of the Year, baby. I already had this on my radar for its aesthetics alone, but seeing the glowing Arlo review makes it an instant buy. It's the day Animal Well comes out. It's kind of like, yeah, okay. Wonderful review, but what would really someone was the guy in the cowboy hat from VR chat recommending it to me? The game was not on my radar. That's a must buy. The review convinced me Arlo would love to play Outer Wilds. Well, how was I supposed to know that? Doesn't really require you to put anything down. Wait, so like the Outer Wilds DLC, okay. Well, anyways, I think that's gonna be it, guys, in terms of the comments and the video in general. I hope you enjoyed watching this reaction video. I just wanted to do a quick upload and an easy upload just because, why the heck not? I feel lazy, Plus, tomorrow I plan to do one of two things: either another episode of my podcast, which is about autism, which takes like 40 minutes to record, or a browsing video, but going over all of the Switch album photos and videos I have, which the last time I did that, it took 2 hours. So yeah, I just kind of am preparing myself for that. But hopefully you guys don't mind this easy upload, of a reaction video. I saw some people complain about my reaction videos, but people complain about reaction videos all the time. I don't do them that often, and when I do, you don't have to watch them, so yeah. But anyways, guys, that's it. Thank you, Nils Edom, Damian Grace, Sparkly Brawler, and Scythe for becoming YouTube or Patreon members. Like, subscribe, play some Xenoblade, and I'll catch you guys next time for more. Peace. Bye, everyone.